Hey everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at weather for the next 8 to 10 days. In today's video, looks like it's going to be turning a little bit more unsettled, I think, over the coming week to 10 days or so. Not a washout by any means, but I think it will be turning a little bit more unsettled. And easterly winds probably getting in as well, and they could become established for quite some time, I think. Although it's not unusual to get easterly winds in April and May. It's a time when the westerlies are at their weakest across the Atlantic, really. So nothing particularly unusual coming up, but it could be a little bit cooler and unsettled through next week. Have a look at all the charts in a moment. I'll just mention the advertising, as we always do at the start of my videos. There's video ads on my pages at gazweatherviz.com. Press play on video ad, you'll be supporting gazweatherviz.com, and thanks very much for doing that. Also got content ads, which are links to articles. Just click through the link and you'll go to the website. We can read the article. Same time, Gas Weathers will get a royalty fee on what you're doing. Thanks very much for doing that. So we're going to start off with the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts for the next 8 to 10 days. We're taking us to around the 27th of April with these, so we're getting towards the end of the month, to be honest. Got the ECMWF here on the left, the GFS is over on the right. 500 millibars at 18,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere where high pressure and low pressure are developing. There's those areas of high pressure, low pressure moved around by the jet stream running above, and essentially is what weather is, the movement of the air by the jet stream. So orange and red colours indicate we've got above average heights, that's above average temperatures really at 18,000 feet, and it extrapolates to high pressure. But blue colours indicating where we've got below average temperatures to 18,000 feet, which extrapolates to low pressure. British Isles is just here, and what we're looking at, of course, is a big area of above average height sitting up to the north and northeast. We've got an area of high pressure, blocking area of high pressure actually up to the northeast. We've got a trough of low pressure down to the southwest, jet stream running something like that, coming up against the ridge and then going around the trough. So we're more or less on the cool side of the jet, though we are taking some of the energy up to the north of the high pressure as well. But the main thing really is that we've got, I'll clear it out of the way so you can see it again. We've got the high pressure up to the northeast. We've got the low pressure down to the southwest, the trough of low pressure. That low pressure will be sending some unsettled weather up into the country, but it's coming into that ridge of high pressure up to the northeast. So I think the northeast probably getting the driest of weather over the next 8 to 10 days. The south and the southwest probably always more unsettled. The GFS is very similar again. There's that ridge of high pressure up to the northeast. There's the trough down to the west and the southwest. Not a very deep trough, but it is deep enough to be throwing up some unsettled conditions with that, I think. So a bit of a battle type scenario actually, with the trough down to the southwest, but ridge up to the northeast. Yeah, I think the south could be getting some unsettled conditions, showery conditions through next week. Not a washout, but more unsettled than we've had for quite some time. If we have a look at the GFS temperature and precipitation on samples, deal with the precipitation first of all. We have got the rainfall spikes here. We've got the first massive spikes appearing around the 20th of April, Easter Sunday, unfortunately. And then as we go on beyond that, well, yeah, we do keep those rainfall spikes going. Now, I say it's not a washout. We've not got a tremendous number of spikes, but we have got more than we've had recently over the course of several days as well through the course of next week, indicating that yes, I think we will be bringing more unsettled conditions into the south and the southwest at times. Now the temperature forecast is showing that, to be honest, the temperatures aren't too bad. We are going to dip down a little bit over the next day or two, starting off very warm. It is going to turn a little bit cooler for the start of the Easter weekend. Then may pick up a little bit in terms of the upper air temperatures. You may not feel it that much down on the surface though, and we're going to keep generally just a little bit above average through next week as we have that more unsettled weather. So despite the fact it's turning more unsettled next week, I don't think the temperatures are going to be too bad. But remember, these are upper air temperatures. It could be cooler on the surface, particularly if it's raining, particularly with bad easterly wind across southern parts of the country. I think it could have, it could feel cooler than the upper air temperatures suggest that it should do. The temperature anomaly for the next week shows we're going to be around average, perhaps a little bit below average for England and Wales, a little bit above average for Scotland, but we're in very pale colours there, so we're not really deviating far from the average. We're going to be somewhere around the seasonal normal, quite cold or cool for the time of year anyway, down over France. The precipitation anomaly for the next week also shows going to be near normal. Driest, actually, funnily enough, out to the west, and wettest out to the east. A little bit above average in terms of the rainfall anomaly there in the easternmost blue colours. But again, most of the country actually having nearer normal rainfall. Now, it's been very dry through most of this spring, so near normal rainfall as an anomaly is actually wetter than we've been used to. It's not a washout, as I say. It's not going to be pouring with rain day after day. We're not going to go back to conditions we had over winter, but it is going to be a little bit more unsettled than we've been used to. Now here's the precipitation forecast for Easter Sunday. We start off with some quite heavy rain in the south and the southeast, and the idea is still that that's going to be moving northwards and eastwards through the course of the day. So at midday, many southern counties have turned wet, also getting up in towards South Wales and the Midlands. By the evening of Easter Sunday, most of England and Wales is wet with some outbreaks of quite heavy and persistent rain. So again, if you've got plans for Easter Sunday, the morning's going to be best away from the far south. It will be turning wetter, I think, through the course of Easter Sunday afternoon. Just have a look at the generic charts. This is for GFS, and this really typifies what we've seen on the height anomaly charts, the battle between the low pressure, which is down to the southwest, the trough, the ridge, which is up to the northeast, and in between we're bringing up not particularly cold southerly to southeasterly winds, but we're also throwing up weather systems which will be bringing showery rain, particularly I think to Ireland, England and Wales. That's how we go into the middle of next week, Wednesday the 23rd. High pressure again over Scandinavia, the low pressure to the south and the west of Ireland. Again, weather systems probably moving up from the south and southwest, bringing some outbreaks of rain. And let's go into Thursday, the 24th, on into Friday the 25th. No great change really. The high pressure is still there up to the northeast, but low pressure still down to the southwest. So showery bands of rain being thrown up, particularly across Ireland, England and Wales. Scotland always getting the driest weather because we're close to that ridge of high pressure up over Scandinavia. And winds are generally from an easterly direct, so it implies that the brightest weather will probably be in the northwest. Northwest Scotland, perhaps Northern Ireland. The dullest weather probably on the east coast, where it could be quite a grim week next week actually, with those easterly winds really getting in. Now as we go through towards the end of the 10-day period, this is Saturday the 26th and then on into Sunday the 27th, then we bring this low pressure through with more conviction. That's quite a deep area of low pressure, would turn all places unsettled. The ridge is moving up towards Greenland and extending down into the Atlantic by then. We're losing it over Scandinavia. It's sort of retrogressing, which is going east to west, over to Greenland and down into the mid-Atlantic. That could eventually turn into quite a cool or cold even scenario to get through to the very end of April and the start of May. As we push this trough through to the east, we could really back the winds into the north with that. But I'm not sure about that evolution. There's not much evidence for it on the ECMWF. This is the ECMWF this morning. The high pressure again at the start of next week up to the north and the northeast, but low pressure down to the southwest. So it's that battle between the high pressure to the northeast and low pressure down to the southwest. Winds from the east, always more unsettled in the south and the southwest. And that's how we go through next week with that battle continuing. The high pressure, very strong ridge over Scandinavia, the low pressure to the west of the country, throwing up bands of showery rain. Winds are from a southerly to southeasterly direction, away from the east where they're easterly. So it isn't particularly cold, but it is more unsettled than we've been used to. Now we end up, as we get through to day 10, Sunday the 27th, with that easterly really in then across the country. And the high pressure is extending out from Scandinavia towards Iceland and Greenland. That's a very blocked scenario, by the way. If we'd had that in winter, it would have been much, much colder than the winter we've had. But anyway, we've got that high pressure extending to the north of the country. The trough is down over France. We're really bringing in an easterly flow. So perhaps that does back up actually what the ECMWF is showing. It isn't what the GFS, was showing by day 10, which is that high pressure to set itself up over Iceland and Greenland. Let's just go back to the GFS. There it is, a high pressure really setting up over Iceland and Greenland. If that happens, we push the trough through and we turn the winds into the north, and that would be some much cooler weather than we've been used to. The ECMWF is sort of going in that direction, but it isn't as quick with it as the GFS. So we just keep easterly winds going, really, and the most unsettled weather is down in the south. It's quite a complicated pattern, this, to resolve, but I think what we can say is that we're in for a more unsettled spell than we've had for quite some time. It's going to start, I think, on Easter Sunday, and I think next week we're not looking at a washout of a week, but we are looking at a more unsettled week, particularly for Ireland, England and Wales, where there'll be some quite heavy showers, bands of showery rain looming up from the south and the southwest at times. The driest weather will always be for Scotland, where we coast that high pressure, but we've got to watch where that high pressure is going towards the end of April and the start of May. If it sets itself up over Greenland, as the GFS is doing, then we could turn the winds from the east to the north, and the north is cold. Even at this time of year, the north is colder than the easterly wind. So if that happens, we could be looking at some late season frost, perhaps, as we get through to the very end of the month. So we're going to have to watch out for where this high pressure is going as we get through towards the end of April. That's it for now. Hope you found the video interesting. Bye for now.